Formula 1 F1 2019 Sim Racing League. As you can see, we've just kicked off qualifying. We're doing short qualifyings, that means 18 minutes of qualifying for our 15 drivers. And let's just see how they get on. Right now we have QX Nemesis in the lead with a time of 1:05.126. It's going to be interesting to see if he can keep up the good pace from the last two races, having secured a win and a second place already. The main contender right now for first place in the championship, challenging QX Nemesis, is Boomtech123, who's also had a win and a second place finish in the first two rounds. The kicker being QX Nemesis having gained one extra point for a fastest lap last week in Canada, meaning QX Nemesis is in first place with 44 points, and Boomtech123 following up second place with 43 points. Not a whole lot of action going on the track right now, as the driver seems to be working out setups, trying to find the optimal way of getting around these bendy mountain tracks, I was supposed to guess. Right now we're on board, following K3M Rotalovs. I'm just butchering the usernames here, and he's heading into pits, so let's switch. Let's follow another driver heading into pits. That's great. And here we are on board MJ Puvi 85, who's just gone out for a lap, it will appear. Let's just follow the sector times and see if he does okay. Back. Sorry about that. Trying to stream audio and the race from an Xbox is the easiest task in the world. But we have a new guy on pole for the minutes, Boomtech123. Once again, Boomtech and QX Nemesis are looking to be the main contenders for the Xbox title this year, at least if we go by the first 2 rounds, where both Boomtech and Nemesis have taken a win and a second place. Let's see what the other drivers can do. We're on board with Gali Moves 5 at this point. Seems to be going slow, might be a reconnaissance lap. Definitely a reconnaissance lap, at least he's off. Also a reminder that it's fairly common during the qualifying to see red flags as drivers slow down and try to get out of the way of one another. On board with Fast 6 driver, who seems to be right at the edge of his currently best lap, just a few thousandths of a second slower. Let's see if he can improve over the course of the second sector. Not quite hitting the apex, but still gets a decent enough exit. of a second off the pace at the moment. Let's see, he still has an entire sector to pick it up as he's heading into the last two corners. Oh, a little bit, and he veers off into pits, so this lap isn't going to be this interesting from this point. Let's see if we can find someone else on board with MJ Pooley at the moment. Let's go to broadcast instead. First sector was looking good, second sector, let's see. Looking pretty neat through those two corners coming up on the back straight here, let's see. Oh, and he goes far, he goes wide. Let's see if it's going to cost him anything in the time section. And as he crosses the line, he improves by very little, not enough to move him up from second place currently. 7th. Let's see if the Alfa Romeo of K3M Rotalos can do something to improve his 6th position. As he crosses the line, it's an improvement of 0.7 seconds, moves him up to 4th position currently. But we have a fair few drivers behind him trying to make up time, so let's see if he can hang on to this. We also still have 6 minutes to go in this qualifying session, which means we should get all the drivers out for at least one last lap. Let's see if NGP Racer can do something about his 6th place. Being just 0.2 of a second after Gallimun's 5. Looking neat through the last few corners, let's see. As he comes up to the start finish line. Ooh, and a lap of 4.3 seconds off pace at the moment. That's not good. And as we focus our attention on the bottom half of the grid at the moment, we're following the Haas of AWTD Turbo Guy, who seems to be on a pretty decent lap. Sector times are looking to be around 1/10 of a second faster than his currently fastest lap, which should be able to put him inside the top 10. Let's see as he gets up to the start-finish line. Oh, and the third sector isn't good from him, meaning he doesn't improve and he's still P11 with 3 minutes and 18 seconds to go of this qualifying session. Meanwhile, we take a look at Onslaught 33, the host of today's session. is racing for Mercedes, has had a few tough races round 1 and 2. So he's definitely looking to pick up some very valuable points for the championship in this race. Finished 9th in Austria, 13th in Canada, meaning he's only picked up 2 points so far. And he pits, so let's see if we can find someone else on a lap. Alright. Fast 6 racer seems to be going on a lap. First sector was decent. Let's see if he can pick up a little bit of time in the second sector. I think the apex nicely in the corner there. Let's see if he can keep up the nice line. It's looking fast. It's looking good. He has to pick up half a second to advance into 4th place. It's a little bit wide of the curve there, but still looks decent. Time I was gonna say. And he also throws it away in the 3rd sector. Looks like a lot of drivers today struggling a little bit with that 3rd sector. And with 1 minute 10 seconds left, we're getting a lot of drivers leaving the pits, as this will be the final chance for a timed lap. And let's follow the current pole sitter as he goes round. Small improvement in sector 1. He does have 0.4 seconds to spare at the moment. It's looking decent so far. Oh, and it's definitely lost some time in the second sector, being up 0.8 seconds of his fastest time. It's very doubtful he's going to improve this. Oh! I have no idea what that was, but looks like he elected to pit after that little shunt. Let's go on board with 2nd place Nemesis at the moment. He's also seeming to be on his way to improve his time at the moment. Let's see, crucial 2 last corners. Goes a little bit wide. Doesn't lose much. Let's see. Oh, not enough. He goes in 2nd place. So it looks like we're gonna have Boomtech 123 as our pole sitter for the race, with QX Nemesis in 2nd place, Gali Mooms in 3rd place. Still have a few drivers on track. Let's see. Rodlos also looking to improve a little bit. Only has to pick up 1/1000th of a second. Oh, and right before the last corner he disconnects apparently, or retires. That's weird. But that concludes our qualifying session. And let's just run through the starting order for the race. It's going to be Boomtech 123 pole, followed in the 1st row by QX Nemesis, 2nd row made up by Gali Mooms and NGP Racer. And great. I just lost the grid. We'll revisit that in just 1 second. And here we go. Now we can have a look at the grid as it will be rolling out for the race in just a few minutes. Boomtech 1, 2, 3 in pole, Nemesis in second, Moons third, NGP Racer fourth, Class 6 driver in fifth, followed by Rotorlaws in sixth, Habs Fan Nick in seventh, Dayman in eighth, Quimbolas in ninth, M. Danielson in 10th, Onslaught 33 11th place, MJ Poovy 85 starts 12th, AWD Turbo Guy in 13th, and Felix the Feline in 14th position. And while we're waiting for the race to load, just let me remind you of the format we're doing. We're doing 50% races, meaning we're doing 36 laps of the Red Bull Ring. We're playing with all assists allowed. It's up to each driver whether or not they want to use them. We also use strict corner cutting policies, meaning you be prepared to see a fair amount of penalties as we go through this race. What you're watching right now is the Xbox division of the r/Formula1 F1 2019 Sim Racing League. We also have 3 divisions of PC Racing and 1 division of PS4 Racing. If you head on over to reddit.com/r/Formula1, you can follow along with our various drivers who are streaming onboards, and you can keep up with the results of all the divisions. And we're approaching the end of the formation lap, so all we need to do now is have the racers line up, and we're ready to go for this round 3 of the r/Formula1 F1 2019 Sim Racing League Xbox division. And looks like we're ready to go, just waiting for the lights to come on. There we go. And they're off. See, it looks neat so far. Let's see if we get any carnage in the first corner. Clean start from the top. Oh, looks like we have a spin, and that is NGP Racer in the Ferrari colliding with a McLaren. Looks like Dayman and Felix the Feline were also involved in this collision in the first corner. That's put them back. We are playing with reduced damage, so it's unclear if that did cost them anything, but I suspect we may see a very early pit stop for at least a few of these drivers to fix damage. Let's go back to the front runners. Already very close. We have a safety car deployed, which means we are going to have no overtakes and drivers going around the track slowly as we get some debris cleaned from the collision in the first corner. So if we take a look at the position changes from the start, the top 3 remain unchanged. However, Rotorloss seems to have gotten a great start, having moved up 2 positions, but he pits now. He's going to drop a few of those positions back. We also have Marco Dennison, Marco M. Dennison, I don't know if his name is Marco, but he's moved up 5 positions, so great start from him. On the opposite side of the spectrum, we have NGP Racer, who's dropped 9 positions because of the collision in the very first corner. He's also now in the pit, so he's going to have to fight his way back from the very back of the grid. As we just wait for the safety car to come in at some point. Maybe a few laps. This game isn't the best at the safety cars. In the last few races we have seen a few collisions behind the safety car, so drivers today will have to be very careful not to make those same mistakes again. And as we speak of mistakes, looks like Nemesis has gotten a 5-second penalty for a collision. It's also worth noting that if drivers are not in agreement with a penalty, they have the opportunity to protest to the stewards after the race and get penalties annulled, cancelled. They also had the possibility to protest other drivers. Interesting safety car strategy by Nemesis, almost getting all the way alongside Boomtech123. Perhaps he's trying to get in his head a little bit. And the lights are off on the safety car, meaning it's going to come in this lap. We're going to be back to racing very soon. Now it's up to Boomtech123 to lead the pack. And it's also the one to decide when the race restarts as we come to the start-finish line. Looks like he's accelerating and we're back to full speed and racing has resumed. And immediately Boomtech123 picks up a little bit of space for Nemesis for half a second now, as Nemesis picks up a second penalty, meaning he's picked up 2 penalties in 4 laps. He's going to have to be careful for the rest of the race if he wants to have a chance of catching up to Boomtech. As we go down the field a little bit to follow Fast 6 driver, who's currently chasing the Red Bull of Dennison. Right behind him, Habs fan Nick in the Toro Rosso. All 3 drivers are separated by just under a second. Looks like Fast 6 is eyeing an opportunity, setting him up. And we have our first disconnect of the day. Dayman seems to have dropped connection and is out of this race. Our first DNF on lap 5. Looking at the battle between the Red Bull and the McLaren, it seems like Danielson has found some speed. He's currently pulling away from Fast 6 a little bit. As we get DRS enabled, it's going to be interesting to see if Fast 6 can utilize the DRS and set up an overtake on Danielson before he stretches out his lead to over a second. Lock up from Fast 6 driver here. He's now outside the second, which means he won't be getting DRS on Danielson. But at the same time, he seems to be feeling the pressure from behind the Toro Rosso of Haps Van Eck. Just within half a second now, meaning he will have few chances on this next lap as he will be getting DRS. DRS open. See if he can pull his way. It's very close now, only 0.4 seconds behind Fast 6 driver. He's eyeing him, he's trying to go on the outside. Oh, and he's going to be denied by Fast 6 driver there. And as we're 7 laps into this 36 lap race, looks like the grid is starting to stabilize a little bit. But Haps Van Eck still chasing down Fast 6 driver. Let's see if he's going to have another go on this next lap. Not as close this time around. He's going to have to catch up in the first and second sector and perhaps having a chance to overtake in third. Still managing to stay within the magic second that will give him DRS. And let's see what happens when we get to start and finish straight and DRS opens. There we go, wing is open. It should now be closing in as we get both our leaders pitting. Let's see. Also a reminder that drivers do have to use 2 different compounds during a race, even though it's only 15%. So every driver has to pit at least once. So we're currently following Boomtech123 around the track, who until this lap was leading the race, but as he pitted for the hard compound tire, he's dropped down the grid and he now has to fight his way back to the lead. It's probably not going to be that hard as the drivers ahead of him also needs to pit. He is currently in the virtual standings battling QX Nemesis for the lead in the championship, and also in this race, as both drivers pitted on the same lap, and we are waiting for the other drivers to pit as well, so we can get the actual real standing back. Switch our attention to QX Nemesis, who's also battling his way back through the grid after pitting. Currently fighting the Alfa Romeo of Road to Loss. There we go. A clean pass, but he went wide, letting Road to Loss back in the fight. Let's see what happens here. Road to Loss with the use of DRS. Nemesis doesn't seem to have DRS this lap, but there is a clear difference in pace here. Oh, and they hit! I think that was a minor collision. Like he's setting up on the inside. Oh, there's another collision. Oh, and Nemesis goes off. And he elects to, I don't know if he was forced into the pits or he elected to pit, but doesn't really change much as he is in the pits. This is going to set him back a long, long way, as I believe this is his second pit stop of the race. As he comes in here, he also has to serve a 5-second penalty he was awarded a little bit earlier in the race. And this is really going to put the pressure on Nemesis for the remaining 24 laps, sorry about that, of this race. Just to reiterate the standings at the moment, it's Boomtech123 in the lead of the championship with a single point over Nemesis. Sorry, it's the other way around. It's actually Nemesis who is in the lead of the championship, 1 point ahead of Boomtech. So this could turn the championship upside down. Goes wide here. Looks like he's pushing very hard. And at the same time, we get a penalty for the class of AWD Turbo Guy. 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. go back. There appears to be a fight for the lead at this moment between the two Red Bulls, with Gallimus being in first position at the moment, being chased down by Danielson, who's just under half a second behind. And moves into the pits, leaving Danielson alone in the lead with 8 seconds to spare. Well, 10 seconds to spare actually to Habs fan Nick. And we just managed to catch Boomtech 123's overtake of the Williams of MJ Puvi. And if we have a look at the pit stops, our 2 leaders at the moment haven't pitted, so once they enter the pits, we are going to have a lead change. It is looking like Boomtech will go back in the lead once we have everyone having done their mandatory pit stops. A nice variation in the tires chosen. Everything from mediums to hards to softs. It's looking like Danielson in first place has elected to continue for a few more laps, pulling away from Habs fan Nick, who's currently on 14-lap old soft tires, meaning he's going to be thinking about pitting very soon. Same goes for MJ Puvi, down in 4th place, also 14-lap old soft tires. Let's visit the battle between Onslaught and Gallimus for 5th position. Onslaught is looking to pick up some points here, as he's had a very rough first and second race. And as they're battling, Fast 6 driver is also approaching from the back of these two. So it looks like we're going to have a very interesting 3-way battle for 4th position here. Drivers behind the Red Bull with DRS, as Nemesis picks up another penalty. Oh, and Onslaught spins out in the corner. This is going to put him down. Let's see if he can manage to hold on 5th position after that spin. Hopefully not a lot of damage to that front wing, forcing him to hit. Looks like he's back on track. Doesn't look to be damage to the car. Upon closer inspection, we can actually see a little bit of damage to the right end plate of the front wing. So it's looking like Onslaught will have to pit at some point to fix that, otherwise he is going to be in trouble. He doesn't have a whole lot of leeway, and since we're only halfway through this race, it is looking like he's going to have to pit at some point if he wants a chance to keep up the pace. Looking down the order, we have our leader in the championship, having incurred a few penalties in this race already, and having spun out, fighting his way back. Currently, half a second of the Alfa Romeo of Rotelos. Oh, he goes wide. He's really pushing the car, trying to make up for the time he's lost, both with the penalties and the spin. Very close. Oh, he touches again. He's driving very aggressively, trying to get past. So he's trying to set it up. He's on the inside. Can he make it? See if they hit the braking point. They do. Very clean pass after some very aggressive driving. And Rotelos seems to be fighting back. Can he keep up? It's not looking like it. Nemesis now has to chase down 5.2 seconds to catch Habs fan Nick in 6th place. Currently following Onslaught, who, as we saw a little bit earlier, has front wing damage after a spin, and he's currently trying to catch Habs fan Nick. It's looking like he's having some trouble cornering because of that broken wing. And let's have a look at the position changes over the 21 laps we've been racing so far. We have Danielson, who's moved up 9 positions so far. Keep in mind that he has yet to pit, so expect him to drop down a few places. We have Boomtech, our pole sitter, who's in 2nd place at the moment, having moved down 1. Again, expect him to take back 1st position. Danielson pits in a moment. Other than that, we have our leader in the championship at the moment, QX Nemesis, who's gone down 4 places so far after some bad luck and a few penalties he's had to serve. Now keep in mind that drivers do have the... Oh, and we have a collision between Onslaught and Nemesis here. Very light touch, doesn't look like Nemesis loses much. Onslaught is set back a little bit. Seen a lot of very close, very aggressive driving today as Onslaught goes wide. Now keep in mind, Onslaught also still is fighting the damage to his front wing, meaning he will have limited downforce when cornering, which might explain some of the alternative lines, let's say. But going back to our standings, as you can see, QX Nemesis, the leader in the championship, is in 6th position. He's had a few penalties today, but keep in mind that drivers do have the possibility to protest penalties after the race, and I have a feeling that Nemesis... Oh, and we have another spin from Onslaught. Going... Oh, and it's just past start-finish straight in the very first corner here. He's not having the best day in the office. He's definitely fighting that front wing damage. So I'm assuming he's thinking very hard about pitting to fix that damage, as he has had, I believe, 2 or 3 spins in the last 3 or 4 laps. Meanwhile, 4th place, McLaren, a Fast 6 driver, is now finishing his mandatory pit stop. He's coming back out. Let's see if he manages to stay ahead of Habs fan Nick. He does not. Nemesis is also approaching, who also passes him. So he moves down 2 places into 6th. But now he doesn't have to pit anymore for this race. So let's see if he can pick up some places, as he does come out on the medium tire, and we have a few drivers ahead of him on the hard tire. And we get our leader, who hasn't pitted in this race yet, in the pits. Question is if the chaos behind him has allowed him to gain a few positions. Let's see. There he comes out, and down the straight is the Red Bull of Gallimuns. Let's see if he makes it out. He does. Oh, this is going to be very tight. He does not, so he moves down to 3rd. Danielson overtakes his teammate, moves back up into 7th position. So far this has been quite the race from Danielson, moving up 8 positions since the start of this race. It's looking like a very good points haul, and even possibly a podium for both Red Bulls today. Meanwhile, Nemesis being chased by Toro Rosso, that would be Habs fan Nick. Nemesis does seem to be pulling away. Nemesis will be very keen to make up positions, as he has to defend his first position in the championship from Boomtech 123. It's not looking like it's happening today, with a lot of penalties for Nemesis waiting for him. And as we're coming up on the last 10 laps of this race, our leader Boomtech gets a 3-second penalty, which means Danielson now is just actually 4 seconds behind the leader. It could be an amazing race by Danielson if he puts up a win here after starting around, I believe, 9th place, possibly even 10th. I actually can't remember. But it is looking like it's going to come down to the wire for these two. And the gaps throughout the grid seem to be stabilizing a bit, as we have a lot of people who've been pitting with damage, coming back out. We have a few larger gaps from right now from QX Nemesis in 4th, who is trying to catch Gallimus in 3rd. There's a 15-second gap, and if we look down to 10th as well, we have AWD Turbo Guy trying to catch NGP Racer at an 11-second gap. Other than that, it is fairly close throughout the grid. And as we're still following Danielson around the track, just a reminder that BoomTech has at least one 3-second penalty that he will have to serve either by pitting or at the end of this race, meaning that Danielson actually has a very realistic shot at a P1 if he can keep his times consistent. It's right now 6.3 seconds behind, meaning that he has to catch 3.6 seconds in order to overtake for P1. And Danielson currently putting in very consistent lap times. Just off his fastest, but very consistent. And he's now below the 6-second mark. So he is catching up to BoomTech at a fairly fast rate. This could be very interesting for these last 8 laps of this race. As we come to the end of the lap, and he's down to 5.4 seconds gap, 5.3 seconds gap. This is really going to be a nail biter. Question is if BoomTech is overworking his tires a little bit. Let's have a look at the tire statistics. It's very clear that BoomTech being on the hard tire, he's been on that for 20 laps, with Danielson being on this 5 lap old soft, so about a second per lap is what we are expecting in the difference between these two compounds. Down to a 5-second gap at this point, and with BoomTech's 3-second penalty, that means he only has to catch up 2 more seconds, and he will potentially be able to pull the win. And we can see Danielson really pushing the car, almost going wide, but managing to keeping it on the track. He's going to want to make no mistakes for the last 6 laps. Meanwhile, having a look further down the grid, we're actually having a very close battle between Fast 6 Drive and Haps Fan Nick. Only 0.2 seconds separating them at this point. And he sets it up on the inside. He pulls back, let's see. He's going to wait for a better opportunity later in the lap. these two cars are on the same compound, so it should come down to driver skill in the end. Let's see. Oh, they touch. Let's see if there was any damage there. Doesn't look like it. But they are very, very close. Just trying to set it up. Doesn't quite manage it this time around. Let's see. Should get DRS on the straight. Wing opens up. Let's see if he can get close enough for an attack into the first corner. He does not. And he goes on the inside, shoots past, locks up just a little bit, and he makes it stick. There we go. Fast 6 driver now in 5th position with already a half a second gap to have Sven Nick. Locks up a little bit again. Let's see if Nick can fight back. And meanwhile, we actually just had a fastest lap from 10th position Kim Bolles, clearly going for the bonus point that the fastest lap does give, also in this championship. As we head to the last 4 laps of this race, we have Danielson gained another few seconds on Boomtech. We're now down to a gap of 4.2 seconds, and with the penalty to Boomtech of 3 seconds, this is close. We get another penalty for Nemesis, another 3-second penalty. He is not having a good race today, at all. And it looks like Danielson is about to break that magic 3-second barrier. Now keep in mind, I don't remember if Boomtech... Oh, sorry, Danielson has any penalties that he has to serve at the end of this race. But in any case, he is catching up to Boomtech very quickly at this point. So it is going to be an exciting finish with 3 laps to go. With Boomtech picking up another 3-second penalty. Now it gets really exciting, because that virtually puts Danielson in the lead of this race. And Boomtech is now catching up to a few back markers, which could impede his racing just a little bit, even though back markers are ghosted in this championship, but drivers still prefer to give them a wide berth. And as we're following Boomtech around, it's looking like the tires have taken quite a beating at this point. And as we can see, he's on 26 lap old hard tires racing against Danielson's 11 lap old soft tires. This is going to be it's going to be really close. At this point, Danielson looks to be gaining somewhere between 1.2 and 1.8 seconds per lap. And with 2 laps to go, it's looking like this could be an on-track race for P1. As we are about to start the final lap of this race, Danielson is 1.8 seconds behind. He can see him very clearly ahead of him now. He's going to have to give everything he's got on this final lap, this Danielson, to catch up with Boomtech. Now Boomtech also has to be very careful because those tires are really worn at this point. And if he misses a turn, if he spins out, well, obviously that's going to cost him the win in this race. Again, also a reminder that Boomtech does have at least a few 3-second penalties he has to serve at the end of this race. We are unsure whether or not Danielson has any at this point. So we could be looking at a win for Danielson, even though he will finish in 2nd place. And final corner, that is the checkered flag coming out. Boomtech finishes 1st on track, Danielson 2nd, and it's looking like Danielson has taken the win due to Boomtech's penalties. We'll get that confirmed in just a few moments for you as the other drivers cross the line to finish this race. Meanwhile, we've had an overtake on the very last lap. MJ Poovey overtakes Rotelos for 7th position. As we head toward the final 2 corners of this race for MJ Poovey, he's going to finish in 7th position. It's not, he's giving the position back. So it would appear something went on there between Rotelos and Poovey. Might be something for the stewards to look at after this race. But the main story of this race is by far the amazing win by Danielson. There we go, that's going to be a Danielson win and a very good points haul for Red Bull as a team. We're also running a team championship, of course, and they're going to be happy with a double podium finish. Right, let's have a look at the final classification for this race. We have Danielson in 1st for Red Bull Racing, then we have Boomtech 1, 2, 3 in 2nd for Alfa Romeo, Gallimooms in 3rd for Red Bull, Habs fan Nick in 4th for Toro Rosso, Fast 6 driver in 5th for McLaren. In 6th place it's QX Nemesis for Ferrari, our current championship leader, who's going to be dethroned after this race. NGP Racer finishes 7th also for Ferrari. In 8th position, MJ Poovey for Williams. 9th is Rotelos for Alfa Romeo. 10th, Kimballas for Haas, followed by his teammate AWD Turbo Guy. Onslaught 33 for Mercedes in 12th. Dayman and Felix the Feline, both with a DNF. And that's it for just the 3rd round of the Formula 1 F1 2019 Sim Racing League. At least for the Xbox division. If you're interested in more racing, we should have the PC Division 1 and 2 leagues racing at this moment, so head over to Reddit and find the streams for those 2 races. But with that, I just want to say thank you for joining, and make sure to stay tuned on Reddit to find out when the next race is going to be. And actually, just let me check it for you guys. Our next race is going to be in a week, and we're doing Silverstone on May 23rd. It's going to be at the same time, and as always, you can just follow along on Reddit to stay updated with this league. Thank you all for joining, and see you next week.